Okay. Well, you know, the main reason that people build a trellis is to save space in their garden and grow some things vertically that can catch the sun, but there's still more ground space for other crops. So that's the main reason people build a trellis, and most trellises are straight up and down. And that does save the most space. But there's other styles of trellises that are intriguing for other reasons. They're just interesting looking, or they offer some advantages by being different, which we'll get into in a minute. And so I've been playing around with doing different kinds of trellises. And I do have some straight up and down ones, or I guess I did. I don't. I use my fence around the edge of my garden as a straight up and down kind of trellis. Sometimes the deer eat stuff on the outside, but they don't bother it too much. And I guess that's the only straight up and down ones I have. So what I'm going to show you today is the three kinds I have here right now around me. Is an arch trellis, which is a cattle panel that's just put in an arch, and I can talk a little bit about different ways you might want to do that. And my other one is a teepee trellis, or actually we should more correctly call it a tree-pea, because it's in the shape of a teepee, but it is attached to what was a living tree. It's still in the ground. I just cut all the branches. It was a cedar tree, and I cut all the branches off and left that main post there. And so that kind of a teepee, I'll talk about that a little bit since I'm on it, is, you know, I use nails at the top and drill a hole in the bamboo and set it over the nail. So it's not like nailed to the tree, but it's hanging on that nail.
Anchored. Yeah,
it's anchored somewhat. And so I've had no trouble with wind causing any problems on my tree peas. They're rock solid. And I'll show you, when we get over there, I'll show you a little more detail what you want to do when you build one of those. And then the arch trellis I mentioned. The latest one I've come up with is my favorite trellis idea so far, because for two reasons. One, how fast it goes up. It's a quick and easy assemble, and it looks really cool, and it's permanent. You know, I've incorporated bamboo in this one, so I will occasionally, every 5 years or so, have to replace some of the bamboo. But the sides of the trellis, that'll be there for the rest of my life. I'll use these every year.
Quick question: what if somebody doesn't have access to bamboo? What's a good substitute?
Yeah, you don't have to do bamboo. Just bamboo's your best option because it's the coolest looking thing. But you know, you could have little saplings you cut out of the woods that are straight. You could use PVC pipes instead of bamboo. You could use metal piping, you know, instead of bamboo. You could take a 2x4 and cut it long ways in half, and now you've got two long posts. So yeah, if you want, we can walk around and look at the individual trellises, and I'll talk a little more detail about them.
For those people who are seeing you for the first time, Daryl, can you just give me a little 20-second bio about your gardening life?
Well, I started, I was just calculating that up the other day, and it's 45 years I've been an organic gardener. It's 1975, if that works out to 40, whatever that works out to. I started in 1975 with my first garden. And my first garden was not near my house. You know, I had to drive for 20 minutes to get to this place that some friends had some extra land to let me do a little garden by their garden. And I learned that first year that if you want a good garden, it needs to be really close to where you are.
Yeah.
Okay, and so now when I garden, it's as close to my house as I can get it. I mean, if it's over the hill and you can't see it, but it's not a far walk, it still will not be as good of a garden as if it's right out where you're looking out the window seeing it all the time.
I'm already finding that out.
Yep. So I like it real close by.
Wow.
But yeah, so I've been an organic gardener since, you know, Roost Stout influenced me, the Rodale Institute with all their organic books and all that, and Mother Earth News. Back in those days, I couldn't wait for Mother Earth News to arrive. When it showed up in the mailbox, I dropped everything. Read that thing cover to cover. That was a big influence for me.
Was it a catalog or a
No,
book,
it was a magazine about homesteading and, you know, escaping the city and how do you do it all.
Right.
You know, and on limited budgets and things like that. So lots of great ideas in there. It was awesome.
Right.
It still is a good, you know, the people that are running it now have a pretty good magazine. But I don't know, back in the 70s, it's kind of when it was really influenced me. It was an incredible thing to have show up in your mailbox.
That's awesome. Did you ever feel like you were able to grow like most of your food?
No. I would never say I grow most of it. No. Yeah. I mean, I always strive to grow as much as I can.
Because you've always got staples like salt, sugar, coffee,
Sure, you're always going to need things from other places, but you know, I just
bait.
I find out I've moved around a lot, so different things grow good in certain places, and they go at your next farm it doesn't do good there or whatever. And so I've always gone with I try different things out, and if something really thrives, I grow a lot of those. You know, like sweet potatoes would be a good example. Like I had purple sweet potatoes one year, I had white sweet potatoes, and I had orange flesh sweet potatoes. And the purples just didn't do well. I mean, I got some, but nothing impressive. And the orange did okay. I wasn't impressed. But the white ones, oh my gosh, I got so many. And they're also the most prolific at making new slips when I start them in the windowsill. So, I primarily raise the white sweet potatoes. I don't bother at all with the purples anymore. I still try to keep the orange ones going. I like them. But, so, you go with what works best and grow a lot of that, and not more than you need necessarily, unless you got people you can trade with and work that out that way. But
And how did you find late bloomer? Can you remind us?
I had grown loofah, a different kind of loofah than Kaye's loofah, okay? Because mine are real long, and they are extremely hard to get the skin off of, okay? And I was struggling with that. And so I go onto YouTube to find out how do I get the skin off these loofahs, right? And there's this picture, the red jumped out, and she had a red shirt on, and here's this most beautiful loofah. I mean, it was clean and perfect, and she's just smiling. Like I said, yeah, I'd be smiling if I had something like that too. Mine's all ragged and, So we've been corresponding since we talked about loofahs.
That's awesome. A lot of people have come to my channel from that video.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. All right, so let's take a little tour, and you can show us the blow-by-blow.
All right.
And for newcomers, that's Petey. Hey, Petey.
Petey boy. Come on, Pete. Petey, where's the squirrel? Go get the squirrel. See my snow peas?
Oh, wow. Look at that.
They need mulched. See,
Yes.
I'm having trouble with my sore wrist. It's hard to gather hay with just one hand and do the mulching. But
Right.
I'm going to have to.
Right.
I'm about to do a bunch of one-handed gardening this coming week.
Wow.
I got a little small hoe with a short handle. That's how I'm going to plant my beans.
Okay.
It's going to happen.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like you used bamboo supports on this one.
Well, yeah, what I did with this, and it goes against my advice to people, and I should, I just forgot, or wouldn't have done it this way, but this piece that goes across the bottom, I cut that off, and I was left with a bunch of prongs sticking down. Did that on both sides, and just rammed that into the ground real hard, and really, I could have got by with that, I think.
You added the bamboo for a little extra support.
Yeah, I added the bamboo just to make it a little more rigid. It still wobbles a little, but I don't think a wind's going to be a problem at all. So, the thing about the arch trellis is it's cool looking, it's nice, you can walk under. If you grow beans on it, it's going to be totally shady, and you can just stand here and pick beans, and that is a cool thing. What I don't like about this style of a trellis is this becomes all dead space, okay? And it's just a walking path, so you can get in here and do all that. And this used to be garden space for me. I sacrificed this much garden space to basically have two upright trellises and the coolness of it hanging over my head. So I don't know, it's just how much space you have to work with, I guess, whether you want to invest that much in this. I planted snow peas along both sides, and that's almost complete over there. There's only two little gaps, but here there's a huge gap, and this is where a vole, I'm assuming, I wasn't here to witness it, but I think he found seeds, and once he discovered they were in a line, he went down and ate all of them.
Oh, he just ate the seeds.
Yeah, when they were
Okay.
first germinating or first swelling up the first few days, he's eating them down there. So once I realized that I had gaps, I did a second planting in here and over there, and I don't know if he came to the exact spot and got them again or what, but none of those came up.
Yeah.
So I'm left with the original gaps.
Yeah, well, your peas look a whole lot better than mine do.
Yeah.
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 What is this vine coming up in the middle of your ivy here?
Here? Yes.
Well, that is that
That's lamb's-
quinoa-looking.
Yeah, that's lamb's quarters. That was good lamb's quarters.
I used to have that in my garden in California, and I thought it was quinoa because I had planted quinoa. It looks very similar, right?
Yeah, well, they're related.
Okay.
That's where quinoa comes from. Lamb's quarters is the wild cousin of quinoa.
I don't think I've seen it in my garden yet, though. Okay.
I was going to show them more lamb's quarters, but I don't see any.
Okay.
I ate that one so fast I didn't show it on the camera.
What's coming up here?
That's just, I'm going to plant tomatoes in here.
Is that the ivy?
So yeah, that's ground ivy. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Is yours not starting to look like that?
No.
I don't think yours is ground ivy.
I hope not. Oh,
So you
dear.
didn't have a whole bunch of this? You didn't see a bunch of this? Little purple flowers? That's ground ivy.
I've got little purple flowers, but I don't know if it's the same thing.
Well, that will turn into that real quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
What'd you plant right there? Just curious.
They're just hilled in temporarily. It's a Weigelia's bush.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Oh, wow.
Weigela?
Weigela.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, flowering bush. They're really pretty. They just get long branches just covered with flowers.
Oh, how pretty.
Yeah, they're real nice. They get big, too.
Wow.
Like, 10 feet. 10
Yep.
feet, 10
Wow.
feet around.
That's going to be a good spot. Is there a reason why you put these bamboo stakes in here?
Yes, to mark my rows.
Oh,
Where the
okay.
potatoes are, because when the potatoes finally die out, it's hard to tell where to dig,
Yeah.
And so that'll make it easier for me to keep track of where the rows are at
I see. Okay.
when I go to dig them
When
up.
you have so much bamboo,
Yeah, it
you can just do whatever you want with it.
Whenever I have a need for I need something to do such and such, I always first think, could bamboo solve this problem? And almost always, yeah, I could use bamboo for that. It'd be perfect, great, really. So this is my original tree pea. This was a cedar tree that was shading my garden beds, and I was wanting to expand out this way. And I thought about just cutting the tree down, but then I was like, well, I'm gonna leave a post. And I still wasn't thinking of this idea. I thought I'd put a windsock up there real high or something, it would look cool. But then after it stood here a while, I came up with this idea. And now this one's really old. I was going to tear this down this year because see, look at the bamboo's all split. And I mean, this thing's been here like 5 years now. And I even got, I threw some wood ash out in the middle of the winter once and burned part of it, and I had to rebuild that section. I still haven't torn it down. I just added, this year I added some
You're
more.
supposed to cool the ash down before you throw it out,
Oh
I don't know
man,
if you knew that.
I thought it was. And I didn't see it burning. I came out, the next day and it was all finished, but it had burned a big section of. So this year I just came in and I took this black rope and I made, because, if you're growing beans, they really want something to twine upward on, okay? I mean, the cross pieces, they don't care about that. They want something to head up, they want to get up real fast. And so as many ropes up and down, the better, I think.
Okay.
So here again, a tree pea takes up a lot of space.
Yes.
I sacrificed a lot of possible garden growing area here.
That's right.
But the advantage, if it's a good enough trade-off for you, is when you come in here, at least this one it's facing south, so this is all in the shade. When I come in here, if I'm growing beans or something, I can come out at high noon and stand in the shade and pick my beans. So, that's your trade-off. To be able to do that and have a cool looking teepee on your property,
Yeah.
you have to sacrifice some space. So thinking about that leads to the next one I want to show you, because I was thinking, instead of taking up garden bed area and building a trellis, I should be taking up areas that are already a permanent path in my garden. It's always going to be, I'm always going to be walking there. It's not sacrificing garden space or anything. From the driveway, this is my main way to get up. I got 4 different terrace levels here, and I can go up. And so now what I've done is I've put a trellis at each level, and this is my favorite trellis design I've ever come up with, because for a couple reasons. One, it goes up fast. All you're doing is driving 2 T-posts in the width of a cattle panel. This is a half cattle panel, 8 feet high. There's the other half of it over there. And I keep it up off the ground a bit and wire it onto the posts. That way, when I come in here, I'm getting ready to come in here and plant lima beans and things, climbing limas. I'll pull all this mulch back and, get this all hoed up. Well, I can hoe even under the trellis.
Right.
And that's what gives you the trouble. Usually you're hoeing up against the trellis on this side and up against the trellis on the other side, and you're left with a 2-inch swath that never got hoed, and that's where your weeds sprout right when you don't want them, because you got young stuff coming up.
And heaven forbid it should be Johnson grass or something.
Right.
Big clumps.
So anyway, once you have these up, they're a little floppy on the top half, that they could flop around. So what I did is I got this bamboo. I don't know if you can see. If you look close up there, you can see that I've cut slots in the bamboo so it fits down over the fencing. And then I wired it, or I used zip ties and held it on there. So now, if I'd have just zip tied that on top of that, in a wind, the bamboo could slide back and forth. This thing could rock back and forth, and the bamboo would be sliding and things like that.
But you've got a notch.
So the notch made it much more rigid. Once I had both sides attached, it's, there's still a little play there, but I'm not worried about it.
They're quite high. If you wanted less play, you could have a taller T-post or cut the cattle panel shorter.
On that. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind getting on a step ladder to pick lima beans. It's only a step or two up that I'd have to go. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to do that, you could make it lower. Well, this is one of my big collared plants from last season that survived the winter, and I've had a few kale plants do the same. There's a kale plant, and now it's it doesn't take them too long in the spring. They get their flowers on and set seed pretty quick, so it won't be too long. I'll be able to just get a ton of collard seed off this one plant.
What is the best way to collect brassica seed?
Well, they finish out and they have little pods, and you just let them get totally dry. I just let them outside until I might cut it and hang it somewhere if it's almost dry, and let it dry under roof somewhere. Mm-hmm. But the pods split open so easy. I just put the whole mass in a paper bag and just get in there and just make a big mess and then pull it out, and you got loose seed, thousands laying down there in the bottom.
Yeah.
And there's a kale plant that made it over the winter, and it's getting ready to flower now. Mm-hmm. So I'll get seed from that.
That looks pretty.
Hey Kaye, have some ice cold spring water.
Alrighty. No doubt that's one of your own gourds.
It is.
Oh, that's
you can drink
beautiful. I'm going to if I can.
Yeah.
Oh, that tastes so much better than my water.
Yeah. Good Pete. Good boy. Where's Fishy's at?
You look like someone out of the Lord of the Rings or something. This is the Lamium Purpurium, right?
Yep.
Well, you're a little bit cooler here. Mine is pretty much done.
So this is not plain hyssop. That's a different plant. This is anise hyssop, which means it's a licorice flavored hyssop.
Wow.
Real good stuff.
And you can, obviously, I just tasted a leaf. You can make tea or something?
Yeah, you can make tea from it for sure. That's maybe the best tea there is, I think.
Wow.
It's a really good one.
Good for your stomach and
yeah. And you can use the leaves and the flowers for the tea, so it'll flower for a long time in the summer. It makes these little bluish purple flowers that are even more licorice tasting than the leaves.
Wow, if you could spare one, I would really be happy, because I started it and it never got more than
one to dig up there.
An inch tall.
I just don't want to I don't think there's any ground ivy up here yet, because this was all.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no, I don't think there is.
That.
There's no. I don't have any up in here. I saw that's lamb's quarters. There's little young ones right there.
Oh yeah, that is true.
That's a wineberry.
Oh, great.
That would be well rooted right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could dig that up, and maybe we can get you that one out of there. I don't want them in here, so.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's hairy vetch or if they're different. They're different kinds of vetch, right?
Yeah. You could use all them and cut for cuttings and just let this stay alive.
Oh wow, okay. Fantastic. So these are wineberries.
Yep.
Daryl just spotted them over here, and he didn't want them over here, and so I have had a hard time getting those canes started at my place.
One more thing I wanted to mention. These trellises with the bamboo on top. I love how the late afternoon, the light hits them and they sort of light up, and you hardly see the wire. So sitting here on the porch, we look out and it looks like floating carpets or something up in the air, floating bamboo carpets or something. Right there. And then in the morning, okay, all the bamboo that I put up there, what's facing this direction, I cut it right flush with a node. So it's solid right there on the end of that bamboo, and it's white. That's a white material that's in there. So when the sun first comes up in the morning, it hits those, it looks like lights have been turned on the ends of the bamboo. It's just all lit up.
Oh,
real
that's
bright.
cool, like a little solar light.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so that's an additional benefit to that trellis.
Oh, that's cool.